This one's gonna be hard. Where do I even start? There's no way I'm gonna get through this without crying. But I can do it. Ooh, Jesus. Let me say a prayer first. Hey friends, welcome back to another Pillow Talk Thursday. If you've never seen my face before, my name is CWynn. I go by all things CWynn across all things social media, and we be on here chit-chatting in the bed every Thursday. Today's video, I'm sharing my testimony. Ooh, wee child. I'm nervous, I'm not gonna lie, and I've been asked about this a lot. I talk about God and I bring up my testimony a lot throughout my platforms on social media, but I've never actually given my entire story and given my entire testimony. And people ask me a lot how I came to know God, how I gained such a strong relationship with God, and all the things. And it's a very vulnerable one. I know I'm not going to make it through this video without crying, so just bear with me. But I'm just going to have to keep it real. I'm going to have to keep it cute, and this is how it went down. So if I had to pinpoint a time in my life where the pain really started and life really started lifing, it began about 10 days before my 21st birthday, where I went through a very traumatic experience. And while I'm not really comfortable opening up about that experience per se, I will be honest with the fact that it led me to spiral, to say the least. I was in shambles. I had no idea what to do with myself, how to heal from it, how to overcome it, how to even wrap my mind around what had happened to me. And I ended up spiraling. I started failing out of college because I refused to go to classes. I almost lost my job a few times. I had been there for years, but I almost lost it quite a few times because I wasn't going to work. I wasn't talking to anybody. I was very depressed. I just kind of stayed in my room. And about a week after my 21st birthday, I met this guy. He was real funny. He filled a void for me, right? Because I was so traumatized by what had happened to me, that our conversations and him making me laugh and him being, friendly and whatnot, it made me feel better. And I quickly got attached to how I felt in his presence. And it truly didn't have anything to do with him or what he was bringing to the table necessarily. It had everything to do with me and how I couldn't sit by myself without having nightmares or without being triggered, or my anxiety got real bad afterwards. And I ended up getting very attached to this man, which led me to up and leave and move to Texas. I moved to Texas, to San Antonio, for a year. My aunt lives there. And I was just like, I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to run away. And so I did. I ran away. I packed everything up. I moved to Texas when I was 21. Long story short, on that end, I stayed with that guy the entire time that I was in Texas. So I would come home back and forth a lot. I came home for the holidays. I got pregnant. I had our child, our little boy. So I ended up moving back, starting a family with him. And the rest was history, child. It was just not a good situation. We did not have a good relationship. And there was a lot of damage that was done throughout however many years we were together. I spent the majority of my 20s trying so hard to love him into loving me properly, which obviously led me to go through a lot of heartbreak, a lot of experiences that I never ever expected myself to go through or allow or be put through. Meanwhile, trying to navigate motherhood, trying to be this top tier mother that I always saw myself becoming. I've always wanted to be a mom. It was awful for me. It was a horrible experience. I was so heartbroken all the time. It was so toxic. I was back and forth, and it was a lot. But I was about 27 when I finally left that situation. And I spent the next 2 years on the bathroom floor Which sounds so crazy, and I can't believe that I'm saying that on a platform like this or on a platform at all. But I know that my story and my vulnerability will help somebody. I know that it will. So this is for y'all. Otherwise, this is very embarrassing to admit, but I was so damaged after that relationship. And full disclaimer, it really didn't have much to do with him. I didn't stay in that relationship because I was so in love with him. I didn't. I stayed because I hated myself. I was so terrified of becoming another single mom statistic. And no hate to anybody that wanted that life. I didn't want that. I didn't want parenthood the way that I got it. I didn't want motherhood the way that I got it. I've always been a hopeless romantic. I wanted the white picket fence and the family dinners and the lunch after Sunday church services and the ice cream cones after the kids' sports games. And, I wanted a family. And so when I finally made it out of that relationship, I went and got me and my son, a cute little house. And oh shoot. I fought so hard to be okay. Like, oh my gosh, I was fighting so hard to just keep my head above water. I wanted to show up as a good mother. I lived every single day to make sure that my storm wasn't getting my son wet. I knew that my duty here was to be a mother, and I wanted to be such a good one. And I didn't want to fail him, and I didn't want to block this blessing or, be ungrateful for this blessing that God gave me. And so that's all I did. I poured my everything into motherhood. I was showing up 100%. I gave every ounce of my being to my son and to being a mother. And everybody would compliment me, you're such a great mom. You're doing such a good job. And I'm like, yeah, thank you, thank you. But the compliments really didn't mean anything because behind closed doors, I was miserable. I was showing up as such a good mom. We would read all the books and we would do all the activities and we would have all the sensory baskets and all the cute lunches. And I was a good mother. But I was nothing to myself. I remember feeling like, this is too much now. I can't carry it anymore. I can't be strong anymore. I'm still trying to deal with all the trauma that I experienced at 20, the way that I wasn't able to fully heal from that. And then all the years of heartbreak and being drugged through the mud in that relationship. And then to really be sitting on that bathroom floor and take accountability for my own actions and come to the realization that I did that. I stayed in that relationship. I stayed because I didn't love myself enough to pick myself up and go after better, to go after more. That was on me. I remember just being so mad and so done. Like, I can't believe I did this to myself. I don't even want to be with me. I'm not happy. I can't believe I'm about to be stuck with myself forever. I don't even like the person that I'm stuck with. Like, I remember feeling like I couldn't take anymore. And I remember one night, trigger warning, I remember feeling genuinely like I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to be here. I didn't want to fight anymore. And I got down on my knees at the end of our bed. My son was right there in the bed sleeping, snoring away. And I remember praying this prayer. Mind you, I didn't have any relationship with God. I grew up in church. I grew up in church. And I don't mean that in we went every other Sunday or every Christmas or on holidays. Like, I was in the youth group, my whole youth. I went to all the youth camps. I did the mission trips. I taught at vacation Bible schools. I was in the church. But I didn't know how to have a relationship with God. I didn't even know what that meant, really. I definitely didn't have my own relationship with him. And so I remember that night I got down on my knees at the end of the bed and I prayed and I said, God, I don't even know if you're real. Like, I don't know what I believe in. I don't know if you're real. I don't know if you save people the way that everybody claims that you do. But if you're real, could you save me now? It's not funny. Like, I chuckle because it's so funny thinking back on, especially with how close I am to God now. But at that time, I genuinely had no idea what I believed in. I didn't pray. I didn't have a prayer life. I didn't have any type of relationship with God at all. And so I prayed that real prayer and I remember crying and I'm like, God, I don't I can't believe I'm even saying this, but I don't want to be here anymore. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. And so if you're real, I need you to come save me now because otherwise I quit. Like, I give up. And I remember, it sounds so crazy even sharing or saying out loud, because it sounds crazy to me sometimes thinking about it. But it was like in that moment, I opened my eyes and I saw my entire space different. I saw my entire room different. Like, my son started snoring louder, and I got so mad at myself mid-prayer. Like, it was like it hit me in like a split. I wasn't even done praying yet. Like, that's all I had said. And it hit me, and I remember thinking, how dare you? Like, I got so mad at myself. My beautiful human that I prayed so hard for. I've always wanted to be a mother. I've always prayed to be a mom. And now you have this beautiful, perfect child. And you're going to you're even thinking about taking his mother away from him because you're having a pity party. And it sounds so crazy, but it was like in that moment, I could feel God say, like, I felt him say, like, I've been waiting for you this entire time. Like, all you had to do was come. And so I just got back on my knees and kept praying. And I was like, I was just thankful in that moment, because I'm telling you, as crazy as it sounds, as cliche and as storybook as it sounds, it's, oh my gosh, it's so real. It's crazy. Like, in that moment, like a switch flipped. Everything around me was different. Like, when I woke up the next morning, I couldn't even sit in my house anymore. Like, I felt like a stranger to my own being. I felt like a stranger to myself. I was looking around my house and I'm like, what in the world? Like, nothing felt like me anymore. Everything from my clothes, my closet, just the way that my house was decorated, like, nothing felt like me. The energy felt so cold, and I was almost scared to be there. God, it sounds so crazy. Like, it sounds so crazy and like supernatural to say. Like, it sounds so made up in storybook. And if somebody else gave the testimony that I'm giving, I'd be like, okay, like, that doesn't even seem real. And I'm trying to tell you, it was, like, it is. When I woke up the next morning, I packed everything up. I texted my landlord. I said, I'm moving out in 30 days. Ironically, I happened to not be in a lease. I had called my mom and I'm like, I'm going to move back home. Me and my son, I'm coming back. I put all of our stuff in storage. I moved out of our house in 15 days. I had everything packed up. I was done. Like, and the wild part to me is, this was over a year ago. I haven't stopped since then. Like, it hasn't stopped. I'm a completely different person from the time that I got up off of my knees from that prayer to today. Completely different individual. I went from genuinely crying at the thought of having to wake up in the morning to I wake up at 4:15. Like, I wake up at 4:15 and I'm excited. Like, I love my morning routine. I love my career. I'm a life coach. Like, there's so many things about my life where it's like, you can't convince me that that's not God. You can't tell me that that's not God that saved me. What was it? Because it dang sure wasn't me. Like, I was so miserable for years. It wasn't like, oh, I just broke up and I couldn't handle it and I had a few rough months. No, I was on that bathroom floor for a long time, and I made that my reality. I made being miserable, being unhappy, living so far below my means and what I actually deserve, and living as a half version of myself. I made that who I was. I made that my reality. I was in that little 3-bedroom house living out the rest of my life in my 20s. In my 20s, I was just getting started in life, and I was just sitting there like, oh, I'm just gonna die here. Like, this is what life is like. This is the consequences of all of my choices and my decisions and my actions. And so now I just have to deal with it. I just have to suck it up and be miserable forever. And it really took me praying that prayer and making a real decision. Like, I refuse to make this my story. I refuse to make this the last chapter for me. There's no way that I'm going to let myself go down like this. And my life has completely changed since that day. Since that very day, everything about me is different. Like my personality is different. I found so much joy in so many things that I never ever used to find joy in. I'm a morning person. I love nature. Like I'd be outside just sitting on blankets, just enjoying the nature. I never liked to be outside. My mother be so shocked. She's like, "What the heck? Like what is going on with you?" I don't know. And as scary as it all has been for me, I really had to work on myself. I really had to be intentional every single day. I had to change a lot of my habits. I had to change a lot of my routines in order to start walking as the person I know He wants me to be. It's also been the most fulfilling year ever. I've never been as at peace as I am right now. I've never been as happy as I've been the last year. It's been the best year of my entire life. I have never been more excited about the unknown, about the future, about my life in general. I love my routines. At this point in my life, I'm just thankful. I'm still at my parents' house. We're moving out of state, so God says, and I'm just really staying obedient to all the words as I get them. But I'm really just thankful. I'm honored that I got another opportunity. I'm thankful that I got another chance. And I'm thankful for all the people that I've been able to reach, all the people that I've been able to help. I'm beyond thankful for the vision that He gave me for what my life is going to become. And I'm excited. I'm excited to continue my journey. I'm excited to continue content creating and sharing my life with so many people. And I cannot believe I just made that video. But whoop, there it is. I genuinely pray that this reaches the people that need to see it, that can benefit from my story, that might be in the same predicament that I was in. And I hope that I can inspire somebody and be proof to people that life really can get better. Life does not have to be that miserable. You deserve a better life than that. You don't deserve a life where you hate yourself, where you hate your life, you hate your routine, you dread waking up in the morning. You were put here for so much more than that. I was put here for so much more than that. And me finally realizing that changed my entire life. And now my entire career is focused on getting everybody else around me to understand that you deserve the exact same thing that I got, that I have, the peace that I have within inside of me now. You deserve that too. Ooh, that was an emotional one, child. But I'll see you guys next Thursday for Pillow Talk Thursday. It probably won't be quite as emotional, but let's be honest. I'm vulnerable and emotional, so it might be. Bring your tissues.